Regardless of the era, it seems that war has never truly disappeared from the Earth. People often wage war in order to compete for resources for survival and development. It is for this reason that in the 1930s, with the discovery and popularization of cheap, unlimited energy, the world witnessed the dawn of the eradication of war for the first time. Since then, the International Peace Council spent several years and a massive budget to finally achieve the basic disarmament of the major military forces worldwide. Subsequently, a new era of space exploration commenced, where national defense expenditure was no longer essential, and countries vied to allocate their budgets and talent to the exploration of the vast cosmos. Today marks Dr. Victor Hunter's first invitation to the U.S. headquarters of the United Nations Space Force at the invitation of Ms. Covell, the director of the Aeronautical Communications Agency. Looking at his personal background, Hunter graduated from Cambridge University with a degree in nuclear physics, but has since been a prominent scholar who has frequently moved between government and various private research projects due to his difficult personality, making him a typical representative of arrogance and unruliness. After the actual meeting, however, the director found that Hunter was not as peculiar as rumored. Of course, Hunter's character didn't matter, as Covell had invited him for his groundbreaking cross-sectional perspective imaging technology. Dr. Hunter, since you're already here, why not take a trip to the moon as well? On the spaceship bound for the moon, Hunter also encountered the familiar faces. One was Commissioner Niels of the International Peace Council. After all, in the context of global arms disarming, inspecting the moon base of the Pacific Air Force to ensure that the research would not involve weapons development was the daily work of the Peace Council. The other was Professor Dan Chico, a renowned expert in biology affiliated with the Westwood Institute of Biology. The Peace Committee's police work aside, it requires powerful imaging technology capable of neutrino imaging of objects, and authoritative experts and scholars specializing in the field of biology such as Professor Dan Chico. Hunter suddenly felt uneasy about the purpose of this lunar trip. Upon reaching the Copernicus 3 base on the moon, the researchers were told that the subject to be identified was just a regular astronaut's body. This body had been found a few days earlier in a cave on the far side of the moon by the colleagues on a lunar surface geological exploration mission. Rather than forcibly removing the spacesuit to inspect the inside and risk damaging the body, they first prioritized confirming the deceased's personal belongings. However, the identification results indicate that this body may have been on the moon for 50,000 years. What does this mean? 125,000 years ago, as the Earth's climate warmed, the modern Homo sapiens, which had once been on the brink of extinction, took a sigh of relief and began venturing out of Africa towards Asia and Europe, or spreading along the coast to Southeast Asia and Australia. During this prolonged human migration, modern humans had to confront unpredictable extreme climates, battle powerful and ferocious beasts, and even compete for survival with other distant human relatives. Ultimately, with the extinction of the Neanderthals, Homo sapiens finally became the sole human species on Earth, and the history beyond this segment of history occurred 50,000 years ago. In other words, if this astronaut truly perished 50,000 years ago, he could not have originated from an Earth still in a primitive era. However, as the perspective imager was activated, every detail of the creature inside the spacesuit was revealed, from the external features to the limb formations, from the skeletal arrangement to the internal organs. After thorough examination of the remains, Professor Dan Chico, a biologist, declared, "This is a genuine human being." They even gave a name to this male Homo sapiens, who was powerful enough to shake the history of human civilization, Charlie. That evening, Hunter reported the current situation to the director. Next, if further verification is required, the space agency must be willing to risk damaging the remains by opening the spacesuit for a direct DNA comparison with Charlie. In fact, after Professor Dan Chico confirms that the remains are human, Hunter has raised a question. Rather than believing that primitive humans set foot on the moon 50,000 years ago, Is it possible that Charlie is simply an extraterrestrial being identical to humans? After all, the universe is so vast. It just so happens that there is a planet with an environment similar to Earth, where life has evolved to be similar to humans. This probability isn't theoretically impossible, is it? However, Professor Danchico told him that the evolution of life is essentially driven by countless random events. In the countless years of evolution, the potential combinations of genetic factors have almost been infinite. So, even if the Earth were to start over again, the chances of producing identical life forms would still be zero. Although he was rebutted into silence, Hunter actually admires scholars like Danchico who dare to assert themselves in their own fields. However, if tomorrow's DNA test proves Danchico right and confirms that Charlie is indeed a Homo sapiens from Earth 50,000 years ago, the only explanation he can think of is that the aliens, during their visit to Earth, whimsically brought Charlie along on a trip. Hunter was, of course, joking. But after the call ended, the entire conference room at Taft fell silent. If Dr. Hunter knew about the discovery of Jupiter 5, he probably wouldn't be able to laugh either. What's the situation with Jupiter 5? We'll set it aside for now. Here, it's evident that assigning Hunter to investigate the Lunar Space Force seems to conceal an even bigger secret. The night before Charlie's DNA test, his body was completely destroyed in a bizarre fire. Afterwards, it was determined that the fire was caused by an oxygen leak in the lab, with neither the sensors nor the fire suppression system responding. No wonder Nils of the Peace Council was furious, believing there must be foul play within the space agency, and deciding to return to Earth to file a complaint with higher authorities. Despite Charlie's body being cremated early, the significant discovery of the Moon Man still needed to be made public. Professor Danchico, who was forced to stay in business, had to clarify that the fire was purely an accident and there was no insider. At the same time, he had to be in charge of popularizing science and reassuring the public. Believe me, Charlie was really an Earthling, not a Triton attacker. Dr. Hunter, on the other hand, was not idle. Originally, he was ready to return after completing the body scan, but the strange fire instead piqued his interest to continue the investigation. Charlie's relics included the delicate cardboard-like objects that would likely turn to dust upon direct contact. However, by scanning their cross-section, the recorded writings could be restored, leaving the rest to linguistic experts worldwide. There's one thing only Hunter can accomplish though. The revelation of Movement Charlie is actually a stroke of luck. The researchers were originally investigating the lunar crust around the moon's morning and evening lines. This is because the moon is always tidally locked to the Earth. In fact, the moon's thickness is not uniform. The thickness of the lunar crust around the morning and evening lines is about 80 kilometers. However, geological investigations have revealed a large open space about 20 kilometers beneath the moon's surface. Through rock sampling, it is preliminarily estimated that the space was formed around 50,000 years ago. This would make anyone feel that it's closely related to Moon Man. The only concern now is whether Dr. Hunter's cross-sectional camera can penetrate the entire 20 kilometers of the lunar crust. Dr. Hunter remarked, "Did the director who intentionally sent me to the moon really think that the camera could only be used to photograph corpses? Neutrino beams can penetrate the entire Earth." As the imaging equipment was activated, the clouds buried under the lunar surface were finally dispersed. What emerged before everyone were vehicles, guns, and various weapons that could be identified by their appearance alone. Their designs exuded a strong Earth-like technological feel. Even in the neatly arranged storage boxes, there were frozen specimens resembling prehistoric fish from Earth. Out of a sense of thoroughness, Hunter sent the scan of the ancient fish to Professor Danchico, who was astonished. This type of fish did not evolve from any creature on Earth. It is alien life completely unrelated to Earth. From the unexpected discovery of Movement Charlie, to the burial of weapons beneath the lunar crust, and the confirmation of extraterrestrial life, a series of significant events have prompted the Air Force to convene global experts in relevant fields for a comprehensive review and discussion of the current situation. The facts discovered so far have focused on three areas. First, lunar surface exploration. After confirming the presence of weapons buried deep beneath the lunar surface, the survey team expanded their exploration radius and eventually detected chemical elements formed after a nuclear explosion in crater MB3076 K2b. Perhaps not all the craters, big and small, on the lunar surface were formed by meteorite impacts. There appears to have been a nuclear weapons level war on the moon 50,000 years ago. Secondly, although the deciphering of Charlie's notes did not go well, two of the pages of maps contain information that was more intuitive. The northern and southern continents are distinguished by different colors, seemingly emphasizing different military alliances, consistent with speculation about lunar warfare. However, upon 3D rendering the map, its terrain features do not belong to any planet within the solar system. Finally, and the most acute contradiction, from a biological perspective, Moon Man Charlie undoubtedly comes from Earth and is likely a type of fish used as a food supply by Charlie or other Moon Men. But it is not a species from Earth. Why is it that in the 21st century, humans have not found aliens, yet 50,000 years ago, early humans were already consuming extraterrestrial fish? Even top scientists from around the world find it difficult to make sense of the chaotic situation. The hypothesis that Charlie was a Homo sapiens domesticated by aliens and deployed as a mercenary on the lunar battlefield is far-fetched, but relatively self-consistent, hence it garnered the agreement of many. Director Cavill, however, hushed the crowd and specifically requested Dr. Hunter's opinion. Hunter lit a cigarette and said, "There are too many uncertainties right now. It's not realistic to try to force a full picture. So let's focus on one thing. Where did those fish that don't belong on Earth come from? The weapons and equipment under the lunar surface don't exhibit technology capable of interstellar travel, and none of the 8 planets in the solar system, including Earth, can support such life. Is it possible that there is or has been a planet in our solar system that we are unaware of? We are all familiar with the asteroid belt situated between Jupiter and Mars, where there are hundreds of millions of celestial bodies, ranging from several hundred kilometers to just a few hundred meters in diameter. Recent research suggests that the formation of these asteroids and debris may not have occurred long ago, possibly as recently as 50,000 years. Suppose there was once a 5th planet of the solar system between Mars and Jupiter, which was not only the homeland of fish but also the source of the map in Charlie's notes. However, 50,000 years ago, a massive war erupted on the 5th planet, even reaching the moon, directly or indirectly causing the planet's destruction, leaving only its remnants to form the current asteroid belt. Most of the confusion can be explained. I believe delving into the asteroid belt could help unravel the current mystery and potentially shed light on an obscure chapter in the history of our solar system. Ultimately, at Director Cavill's suggestion, this possibly existent but now vanished 5th planet was temporarily named Minerva, after the goddess of wisdom in Roman mythology. Although it was still just a hypothesis, the speculation about the lunar war and the planet Minerva caused a huge stir worldwide as soon as it was revealed. While everyone was pondering how to uncover an ancient chapter of the solar system's history, a spacecraft landed at the Copernicus 3 base. The senior officials of the Peace Commission have announced that they will take over all investigations related to the Moon Man. At the same time, the Peace Commission also issued a statement on Earth, stating that the Space Armed Forces was preserved as an organization against the backdrop of global military disarmament, marking the ultimate peace for humanity. The hard-won peace is all thanks to the Peace Council's substantial economic support to countries worldwide in arms procurement, transformation of the military industry, and veteran resettlement. It can be said that the Peace Council is like a universal parent to humanity, safeguarding against the chance of war by shelving dangerous weapons. The Pacific Air Force is now attempting to seize the military heritage of another civilization, and the Peace Council cannot ignore this. With the Peace Council's intervention, scholars Hunter and Dan Chico are also being repatriated to Earth. Both men in the capsule feel that everything they experienced on the lunar surface is like a dream. Unfortunately, before they could explore the answers, they were abruptly awakened from the dream. Professor Danchico, who is usually very serious and traditional, is also feeling down that he can no longer continue his research on the alien fish. Hunter suggests, why don't we use alcohol to numb the boredom of the journey? But when he reaches the window, he discovers the spaceship is shrouded in a massive shadow. Ahead of them, a colossal spacecraft resembling a space station is heading towards them. After completing the automated docking, the secretary to Director Kaval of the TAF came out to greet the two. Kaval himself also greeted the two scholars through a holographic projection. First, welcome aboard Jupiter 5. Next, I will present you with two choices. If you wish to return to Earth, the Space Force will arrange for your return as per the original plan. However, if you prefer to continue the investigation, you can stay on Jupiter 5, and your next destination will be this planet. The Space Force has indeed kept one thing hidden from the world: a major discovery on Ganymede, the third moon of Jupiter, an ancient spaceship, just as significant as the discovery of Charlie the Moon Man. Preliminary dating indicates that the spaceship is from 1 million years ago. That's the plot of the first 6 episodes of the epic sci-fi manga Star Successor. The manga is adapted from the first 3 books in the giant series by British science fiction writer James Patrick Hogan, retaining the title of the first novel published in 1977. Author of the manga version, Hoshino Nojwan, is a renowned Japanese sci-fi manga artist who incorporated his own insights into this manga adaptation, as well as introducing plot points not mentioned in the original work. The manga adaptation also won Japan's Nebula Award for manga in 2013. However, due to the numerous hardcore sci-fi concepts in the original work, it presents a reading threshold for readers unfamiliar with the field of astronomy. This is most evident in the sheer volume of words. So when narrating, I also have to consider the balance between details and conciseness. If you're interested in this topic, please show your support with likes and comments. I'll liver a bit and try to open the pit to tell the backstory.